Pay me, pay me, pay me my silver now. Pay me or go to jail. Pay me my silver now.
Good morning, Bix Weir, roadroo.com with your morning horn disease, your sip of chaga coffee. All right, silver got a little bump today. Hard to talk about price. Knowing the price of silver has been rigged for so long. You look at it and say, oh, that's great. And then you think, okay, that's just a click of a mouse. They allowed, it's 99% of these trades are the market riggers trading back and forth to each other to set the price. So anyway, it is what it is. But the game is ending. It's clear to me that the game is ending. It's clear to a lot of people watching silver, the game is ending. The question is, where are you going to be when you can't buy silver anymore at any price? That's what we're headed towards. Probably, I'm thinking September timeframe. Then again, we've thought this many times. It's been going on for over 180 years. So is it a big deal? Of course it's a big deal. It's a massive deal. It ultimately can be the killer of the banks, which is even more important because we do have to destroy the unbacked fiat monetary system. Right now, the bad guys are still winning, still in control. Until we take them out, there's nothing much that can be done on any front. The market rigging is in every market, not only the gold and silver markets, not only the U.S. stock market, the bond market, but the actual currency markets, the foreign exchange markets. They use derivatives to rig the price of money in general. It's just insane. And so out of control, people who say, oh, the U.S. Fed and the riggers will never let it happen. They'll never let the old system go. Don't forget who wins when this system is destroyed. The largest debtor nation in the world, the United States of America. So those people thinking, and I'll get to it in a second. But silver's doing well today. Bravo. No, don't sell your silver. If silver breaks through $30, don't sell your silver. If silver breaks through $50, don't sell your silver. Don't sell your silver until, my take is, watch the gold silver ratio. That's the closest thing that we have to a price relative to something else. Right now we're judging the price of silver relative to the US dollar. And how many dollars have been printed since 1980? So it's completely irrelevant. But the price of silver to gold is important. And what should that ratio be? Well, above ground, it's 1-to-1. Coming out of the ground today, it's 7-to-1. Used in the monetary system, coming out of the ground, it's 3-to-1. Because 60% of silver that's mined goes into industrial and is poof gone. So disappears. Yeah, there used to be a lot of silver available. Like 60 billion ounces have been mined, but most of that's gone. In little tiny, it's not gone. It's still on the planet. It's just been broken up into little tiny pieces in circuitry and components. The bottom of a dump or a waste fill area, and where are your cell phones? What happened to the flat screen TV you had? When you bought it for back when flat screen TVs, you get a small one for $500. Now you can get them for like $30. All those have silver in them. And what will the price be so that people are scavenging through all the dumps of the world, through all the garbage to find little scraps of silver, because silver's at $5,000 an ounce? It's going to happen. It's actually in Cliff's data that people do a lot of scavenging for all kinds of things in the future, because kind of nothing new is made. It just kind of stops, and you got to go find it where you can get it. So anyway, very exciting times for silver. Yes, we are above the 50, 100, and 200-day moving averages, and rolling, which is great. Yeah, we're well above $25. Remember, the big hurdle is going to be $30, and after that, $50. I think it's going to run, after it hits 30, it'll track back under 30 again, and then run to 50 and just blow through 50 without even stopping. And then people get really confused, the exchange is shut down, and we don't know what's going on. That's my take. Yesterday, again, another exchange for physical. Now, people are telling me, "Oh, Bix, you don't understand exchange for physical. That's for cash." They just buy it out at cash because under the EFP it says an exchange for physical trade is a privately negotiated and simultaneous exchange of a futures position for a cash position, not for cash. A cash position is known as a LBMA futures contract. That's what they call cash silver because that's where the physical silver is delivered. So just to be sure, and I did check it, I went through all the rules and regulations. It is for a cash position, not for cash. Okay? So yes, these are being or can be delivered. It's a futures options on the LBMA where it's being delivered. That's the only reason to send it over there because there's no silver left in the United States in this exchange, and there's way too many rules around this exchange for any serious silver to be delivered. So this is 5 million ounces today, which is really jumping this up. Harvey, Oregon was blown away yesterday by the jump of like 17, 18 million ounces. Another 5 million ounces added to this. It's over 60 million ounces now. Remember, I brought this up after a week going in July. There was nothing. And then all of a sudden, last week it started, and just massive amounts of silver being transferred from the COMEX over to the LBMA for delivery. And Ted Butler's jumping up and down about this too. Not that part of it. Ted doesn't think the LBMA is worth its shit because the numbers are ridiculous. And it's true, the numbers are ridiculous. So nobody knows exactly what's happening over there. But if you're going to take the silver delivery, you don't do it on the COMEX. Learn from the Hunt brothers. That's how they got the Hunt brothers. They got them to load up on futures, and then they cut them off and said, "Okay, no more buying silver, only selling on the COMEX." It was ridiculous. It was a takedown, but hey, it worked for them. Now people are going around the COMEX. So good on you, whoever's taking delivery. So the total month of July turned out to be a lot better than we thought. I thought it would be under 15 because the original amount of contracts to be delivered in July was about 14.5, I think, originally. And then people have been buying during the month. You can do that. You can buy a contract during the month and take delivery. And that's been going on. We're over 20 million ounces now. And you can obviously see who the riggers are. You just go to who took delivery this month or who supplied all the silver this month. And it's pretty much, well, JP Morgan customers. Obviously, JP Morgan's involved. But the big shining light is right here. Standard Chartered Bank. Standard Chartered Bank. I've talked about them for years. Standard Chartered Bank delivered 2,400 contracts, which is what? 5 times. That's 13. About 13 million? No, 12. 12 million ounces. So more than half was delivered on the first day by Standard Chartered Bank. How is that not some kind of crazy operation? Thousands and thousands of people participating, supposedly. It's not true, but supposedly in this exchange, the CME's silver COMEX, and yet basically just one bank. There's two banks that control the whole thing, and one bank is out now. I think this is the very last amount of silver that Standard Chartered Bank has, and they're out. You will never see them again. Kind of like Scotiabank disappeared once, and now they're still piddling around, but they disappeared after a big delivery. We're going to see it. Wells Fargo is going to disappear. B of A is going to be the big question mark because they've been, a significant part of the JP Morgan rigging operation of leasing. Because JP Morgan could no longer rig the silver market, they had to lease the metal to Bank of America for a rig job. And who knows how those are structured. But clearly B of A is all of a sudden a massive player. And we saw it in the OCC data, the Office of Comptroller of Currencies, that B of A leased out over 1 billion ounces of physical silver. That's crazy. And you wonder where the physical silver, how it will ever get back. I don't think it will. I think it's a fixed back-end lease so that the silver's just gone. And JP Morgan probably had to divest itself of the silver that they stole. At least we can cross our fingers. All right. Really interesting stuff about this gold-backed currency in August that everybody keeps talking about. Yes, that it's being announced here and there. What does it mean? I said it'll never happen because just the theory of it is impossible. Having all these countries agree to having all their people, all the people in their country trade in a gold-backed currency. How would that? Nobody knows how it would work because it won't work. We need to remember a great article here on more gold-backed BRICS currency silliness on dethroning the dollar on Mishtalk, basically saying, hey, countries don't make anything. So why would it matter if they have a gold-backed currency that they have for international trade? It's individuals and companies buy from other individuals and companies in different countries, and what gets swapped back and forth. I mean, would somebody buying all their products for a manufacturing facility in the United States, they're buying a lot of the incoming products, their base stock from China, and they need Chinese yuan to pay, but in the U.S. we have dollars. You think they're going to go to a gold? The people are going to convert their gold first? No, it's just a lot of talk. The main problem, and it didn't cover this in the article, the main problem with a gold-backed currency is you need deciders. There can be no deciders when the shit falls apart. We will be returning to a gold-backed currency, but it won't be by choice. It won't be by structure. It won't be an announced decision before the whole system gets destroyed. And gold-backed currency can only come back by necessity because there's nothing else. Remember, when the system crashes, there's no deciders. So the BRICS won't be deciding. Every country's going to look out for their own shit when that happens. It's very clear in the Road to Ruta documents that the U.S. stops trading with even Mexico and Canada, our closest neighbors. There's going to be no trade between Mexico, Canada, and the United States when this all goes down, because nobody will trust anybody. It's a trust thing. And who is going to make the call? Right now you have a handful of countries saying, oh, this is what's going to happen, but everybody in that country has not agreed to it. They don't even know anything about it. Sure, the people with gold will be real excited about that, but then again, we don't even know how much gold there is in the world. Not even close. So, no. Is it a sign that things are changing? Yes. But is it practical? Absolutely not. I mean, some countries have a lot of gold. They'd want it. And the countries that don't have a lot of gold and maybe have a lot of oil, they'd want an oil back standard. And people are saying, oh, it'll be a basket of commodities. That all takes deciders, and there's going to be no deciders. When the derivative bubble blows, there will be no deciders. Luckily, the U.S. has a constitutional money, gold and silver. Big question that I have, how many gold and silver eagles, how many gold and silver coins has the U.S. Mint made on the sly in the past 110 years? That's how long we've been planning for this. How much gold and silver is there waiting to be re-implemented? And it's clear that that's what's going to happen according to the Road to Ruta documents from the Fed Boston. That was very clear. They even show a girl walking into a bank, a little girl walking into a bank with 19 gold coins and a stack of bills doing an exchange. Yes, the Fed. So, yeah, the announcement is big. The actual nuts and bolts of it ever happening is not big. It's not gonna. They might announce it, but it would never be functional. It's got to function. And there is no functional way to do it without destroying the old system. The old system has to be destroyed first. Then you can try to implement whatever you want in your own country. It'll be up to you. But you're not going to trust anybody else. Any gold standard would have to be the real thing. Hey, you got oil? We want to buy your oil. That country will say, well, I'm not giving you my real oil unless you give me something real, like give me real gold. Not a promise of gold, not a promissory note of gold. That's why I've always screamed, going back to backing a dollar or backing a yuan with gold will never, ever, ever work unless it's fully 100% redeemable at any moment. Hope that makes sense. So yeah, I kind of agree with this guy who said it's silly to even talk about it, but people like to dream a little dream of me. Interesting. The same guy wrote, dollar weaponization expands. FDIC message to foreign depositors is don't trust the U.S. Yeah, it gets back to when those banks were collapsing at the beginning of the year. Signature Bank, they paid off the domestic depositors against the FDIC rules, by the way. They paid off the domestic depositors, not the foreign ones. I mean, billions was lost. And people are like, oh, no, they just bail out the banks. They didn't bail out any foreign banks. Any foreign depositors into Signature Bank. And there were a lot in Hong Kong. Those are crypto people mainly. And Signature Bank. So, yeah, those are the likes of, the cabal, the pedo cabal, and the crypto cabal. Yeah, they didn't get bailed out. Oh, darn. So sorry. So yeah, FDIC is going to come into light again. Nobody was talking about the FDIC for the last 50 years, and then all of a sudden, the beginning of the year, FDIC was in everybody's mind. Are they going to bail out the banks? Are they going to bail out the banks? We're coming up to round 2 of that this quarter, and right now we're seeing the signs of it already. Wall Street Journal, yesterday, big banks' earnings have some bad news for smaller banks. The same old line. People are pulling their money out of the smaller banks because they're not going to get bailed out. They're not too big to fail like these big banks are, blah, blah, blah. Regional lenders due to report results this week will likely be hit harder by rising deposit costs. I don't think that's the big thing. Yes, they're going to get hit by deposit costs, but there's a bigger thing lurking in the background. And it's the same thing we saw at the beginning of the year. And as a matter of fact, it happens. As of 3 days ago, State Street plummets as deposit costs rise. It might be a better indicator for banks than JP Morgan. JP Morgan has its own problem. That would be the derivative and criminal side of the problem. The small banks have a huge unrealized losses problem that got exacerbated at the end of the third quarter, which was at the end of June. And that doesn't get reported by the FDIC until August, right in the time when everything's going to start falling apart. So you have so much time. You've had so much time to get your shit together. You better make sure it's together. When the big hedge funds start running back to these little banks and getting their money out, and they're not going to be putting them in JP Morgan. They're going to find another spot for them. A lot's going into the U.S. Treasury because they're paying, 5% or whatever they're paying right now. But at the same time, destroys the older Treasury notes that are paying much less interest, which is what all the regional banks hold. It's just it's round and round we go. Here's State Street Corporation in the last 5 days. You can see they're starting to crash again. And I have a list. I just put it up at roadtoruta.com. Go to roadtoruta.com. You can see a list of troubled banks at the end of 2022. Now, the reason I'm using the end of 2022 is that's when the treasuries were destroying the banks in unrealized losses. Because the higher the treasury yield, the lower the value of the older treasuries. And, we talked about that many times. And these were the banks that were in trouble. Well, during the first quarter, it was reported, it's all improved. And if you look at the unrealized losses, yeah, they improved in the first quarter. The big problem is going to be the second quarter because treasuries it had a higher yield, which means the underlying treasury is worth less. So these unrealized losses should jump back down to the minus $600 billion, $700 billion, maybe even $800 billion when this is reported by the FDIC in August. So keep an eye on these banks. Anybody with half a brain, get your money out of the banks. And don't put them in the big ones. Why? Because they have 50 times the problems of the regional banks, but theirs are all on the derivative side. The derivative bubble has blown. I mean, they're bailing out so many banks and derivative players right now behind the scenes. It's crazy, and it's not stopping. So keep an eye on the derivative problems at the largest banks of the world. Number one will be JP Morgan. JP Morgan, by the way, yes, absolutely 100% is going to go down. And it could be because of they violated the deferred prosecution agreement for the RICO charges on rigging the silver, gold, and treasury market. They violated it 3 times already. So the DOJ could just say, hey, you're gone. Now, we get back to the question, does the United States want the end to happen now? We're the largest debtor nation in the world. Do we want China and Russia to keep building their strength and their economies while we play this stupid game? I don't think we do. So we'll find out soon enough. But again, there's the That's as of the first quarter. This is going to probably go down to 600, maybe $700 or $800 million in losses on securities held for sale and held to maturity. So that's going to be the big talking point over the next, starting probably, kind of starting now, but not really. When people start running out of it, that will be like in the August timeframe when the FDIC says, Houston, we have a problem. And they hinted at it at the last time. They said quarterly, the first quarter is fine, but next quarter is going to be rough. You got to wonder when regulators say that, right? And of course, all this gets back to what I've been screaming about, Jenny Moonstone's been screaming about, is that the silver manipulation won't end until the exposure of the pedo rings, and it is happening everywhere you look. And you can see who's fighting it and who's embracing it. The entities that are fighting it are knee-deep in it. So Bloomberg has Sound of Freedom hit piece written by a pro-pedo contributor. So Bloomberg is in on it. They are part of the pedo cabal. And it goes all these newspapers and all the big companies, Google and Facebook and YouTube, and I don't know about Twitter now. I don't know about Elon Musk's involvement there. I don't think it is. I mean, clearly he skirts the edge of everything, but I don't think he is knee deep in that shit. Maybe he is. I don't know. I hope he's not. One of those things. It's like Trump. I hope he's not. I don't think Trump is. Trump. When the world finds out what Trump has done behind the scenes, then they'll all love Trump. But I don't think we're gonna have another president. I think the United States, as we knew it, is pretty much over, and all we're waiting on now is the end of the global financial system, the unbacked fiat system, and then we get to start fresh and reorganize and take down the cabal that has controlled our lives for so long. I mean, there's a lot of people who need to go to jail. This Hollywood strike is a crack up because most of those people, I don't know about most of them, but a large chunk of the popular ones are part of the problem, part of the pedo problem. And so keep an eye on it with the adrenochrome and all that. Whew, it gets bad. Do your research. Make sure you know what you're talking about when you start discussing it with normies who really don't have any clue. This movie, Sound of Freedom, is their first inclination that there ever was a problem. Even though when they were swearing, or they're grilling the Attorney General a few years back, and Feinstein, the first question she asked is, what are you going to do about the number one problem in the United States of America? Child trafficking. And everyone's like, what? And it is. They just don't talk about it because they're involved in it. So that's where we are with that. And that's what I got for you. Don't forget, sign up for the free emails right there on the left at roadtoroad.com. You'll get everything I got, except for the private road. Private road, you got to join, and you get all the behind-the-scenes stuff, all the things I'm working on that nobody's even talking about yet. And then you get this silver Ruta coin, the Ruta Lives coin, get mailed to your front door. Really cool coin. All right, I'll talk to you guys later.